All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Raised Hunting Podcast, and we have another episode for you. And again, you have the better host and the better other host today.
It's two better hosts.
Oh, wow, double the hosts. But we are, like we said on the last one, we've got one more podcast to go without the old man, and you know, I'm not so sure that we might not start getting some votes for a brother podcast.
Maybe.
You know, I don't know, but you guys don't have to say it openly if you don't want to hurt his feelings. We understand, but it seems like it's going quite well from the last podcast, considering it was only 2 days ago, and it's got quite a few, I think, quite a few comments and views, doesn't it?
Lots of views, not tons of comments, but the very first podcast that we did that in, we went over our 400 with flying colors.
You guys
rock.
Freaking rock.
Over 400 5-star reviews on Spotify. We really appreciate that. Somebody in here had a pretty funny comment. Who was it? Hunter24B says, "Look, keep up the great work. Listening every day while working. By the way, I was number 400 for the 5-star ratings. Do I win something?
Nice. Maybe he does.
Maybe we do. Maybe we give
Send him a
something.
hat or
Maybe
something.
Hook him up. Yeah. So appreciate you guys. Not a ton of comments because it's only been 2 days since we did the last one. So,
yeah.
But anyways,
I think we have a fun one. Today is one that I know has been asked about. We're kind of mixing it though, and that is two things. Well, we'll just get into the other one, the current news one with it. But we are going to talk about what it was like growing up in the hunting industry as children. So Warren and I, we've been in the hunting industry since we were.
I was been like, if you
I was like 8 or 10.
Start at the raised hunting stage, then
If you did that,
15,
I was 12.
If Primos stage,
Our whole life. And my whole life.
I think since I was like maybe 8 or 10.
And I think it was before that.
I remember.
Well, actually, I know that Dad started with Primos in the 90s.
No.
Yeah, he said that on the podcast multiple times. Like late 90s, somewhere in there.
I think it was the early 2000s.
I don't know. I wasn't around well enough to know that.
Well, I do still remember the day that Will Primos called.
Yeah, I do, because you answered it.
I answered it. Yeah, Mom and Dad had taught us to answer the phone, and
Yeah.
it was, we were supposed to say, Holder residence.
That's freaking funny.
And so that's what I said, and Will says, "Hello, Mr. Holder. Is your father there?" and I was like,
That's a weird
my God. No, because I watched all the, remember?
Oh, you knew exactly
hated
what it was.
All I watched was hunting
yeah.
shows.
Drove me up a
Over and
wall.
over and over and over. So I knew exactly who Will Primos was. And then I was like, oh my God, I was like, Dad, it's for you.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that, and I think that with the amount of time, I'm 25 now, Warren's 28.
29.
Warren's 29 now. Oh, my gosh. In a couple months, Warren's about to be 30. Oh, you're getting old, too.
I've been telling myself I'm 30 since 27. That way, when I turn 30,
It doesn't
it's
feel
like,
that
sweet, I'm still 30.
Yeah, fair enough. So we got a few years in the hunting industry, but I think it'll be interesting to kind of see our perspective. I think you'll hear a lot of other people's perspectives out there, but there's very, very few that have been kids, like kids that have grown up in it and still in it or still doing something, especially the same business. So I think that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think especially to the depth that we were in it.
Yeah, so I guess to start with, you don't have any more to read on that, do you?
No, I did that.
Except
find a
you
few
did have
shocking
one.
things, yeah. So, I mean, did you want to go over what you were going to bring up on this?
Well, I was kind of waiting. I thought, or unless that's what you're talking about, it pertains to whatever one you were mad about.
Yeah, it just was
Okay.
like, this is shocking.
Yeah, so the first one we're going to talk about, just to get it out there, because I really don't want to give the dude a name, considering I don't think he has one, except for a headline. And the current thing that's going on right now is whatever dude that had a hunting show that poached a bunch of deer or a couple deer in multiple states or
Technically two. So he was in Kansas. I don't mind calling him out.
I just didn't want to give him the platform because
Yeah,
I don't think anybody knew who he was before this, and now everybody is going to know who he is. And now it's this crap is annoying because it makes the hunting industry, number one, or anybody that has any form of personality in the hunting world look like total pieces of crap, and it makes hunters to everybody else look like total pieces of crap.
Well, the other thing is, I think, as most of you guys know, we told everybody to go light up C.J. Alexander, and we didn't really give him any
remorse,
any mercy, and we got a lot of crap for it. And then, too, I think a lot of people actually appreciated that we weren't nice about it.
Yeah.
And that we were one of the few ones that were like, no, this is absolutely whack, and this dude's a POS.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I think that we need to be fair. And I wouldn't consider this our people in any way, shape, or form. But Matt Jennings of The Game, welcome. You've gotten your trophy to the piece of club.
Man, we should make a little trophy for him with a turd on it.
Yes, we should.
Maybe a dinosaur turd.
Yeah.
And all our podcast people
It can be all slumpy.
Uh-huh.
You know, here's your turd trophy. So he shot a deer in Kansas, then took it to Oklahoma and bought an electronic tag in Oklahoma, then registered it in Oklahoma, then went back to Kansas, and then shot another deer in Kansas. So Kansas has banned him for life and then fined him $25,000 for and prosecuted him for these crimes. Now, the thing that I find is very interesting is I never even heard of this guy or his show. And so if you look up his show, The Game, this one, I would encourage let's get back here. So the guy clearly has absolutely no remorse.
Oh, Lord.
And I say that because on his page, The Game, he has 672 followers. And
600? Like
672 on his Facebook page. And then the very first thing that he's posting is sharing something of Moultrie. So Moultrie, I would highly advise that you guys cut this back. Why would you want somebody, especially who's got 600 followers, you probably have a product deal with him, that just got convicted of poaching, and the first thing he's doing is right out there sharing my sponsor stuff. Like, what are you doing? Bear Archery. I don't think Fred Bear would like this guy very much. I'd cut him.
No, he would not.
So then on his page, he doesn't have anything on here making any statement. You know, he's posting about Big and J.
He's not opening up about what he just got freaking
No, not a
blasted
single
for?
thing on here. And then it gets worse because you go back to July 13th. The heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes steps.
Why is it always the guys that
Proverbs
preach God?
16:9.
I'm a Christian. I go to church like every Sunday. I love God. I love Jesus. And this stuff, like that's 2 or 3 in a row, drives me up a wall. I feel like they're using it as a front.
July 6th, 1 Peter 5:7. Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you.
All your anxiety from hiding a lie and poaching deer. He doesn't help you with that. You screwed up, brother. Oh, man, that is BS.
So if you in any way, shape, or form associate yourself with Matt Jennings, The Game, we're going to put it out on Raised Hunting Podcast like we just have, that I would get rid of this dude.
Yeah, so
I don't know. I promise you he's not making any difference to your bottom line. He's only hurt. So I would get rid of him as fast as possible, and I'd get far,
Does he at least
away.
have some followers on Instagram or something?
I don't know. I don't really care. I doubt it.
That's wild. Yeah. Anyways, the only reason we're bringing that up is because it kind of goes along with the topic of what it was like growing up in the hunting industry for us and how others really view you based on what other people think or do or see or how they carry themselves in the hunting world. And there's some people that do very good jobs of that. But unfortunately, with just about everything else, the bad carries a lot more weight. And I think that we could probably start like what school was like even for us.
What stage of life are we talking about here? Because I think if you consider Dad's Primos days the hunting industry,
it was fun.
It wasn't really that much for us, but I do think it would be worth talking about because it was fun.
It was a blast.
It was a ton of fun.
Yeah, and to clarify on that, like I did not get my hunting bug, like of obsessed with hunting, probably until I was like 15, 16, somewhere in there is where it started. And so this is pre like
and then
you 8 years or whatever.
And then you relapsed.
Yeah, I did relapse
for a little bit, and then you came back to it.
Yeah, now it's just kind of burning a hole in my heart, which is okay. But before that, I didn't really care that much, and I loved going to those seminars.
So let's
and
explain to them
what
it was. Like when I think of childhood memories, those have got to be like top 3 probably. So Dad was in this. I really think it was the early 2000s. It had to have been the early 2000s because you didn't even exist yet.
Yeah.
So it was like early, like 2000 probably.
Well, I existed after 2000 in case you didn't know.
No, I knew. Like, I'm trying to think of. You're probably like 8 to 10 at a lot of those.
Yeah, I was.
So it was probably around like 2007 to 2011 or so.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little earlier than that. So Dad at that time was a Primos pro staffer, and we still lived in Montana. And to be specific, I think it was still when we lived in Great Falls, Montana.
Yes, it was.
And if you're familiar with Montana at all, a close town is at least 2 hours away. Like that, like every other town, with the exception of Helena, I guess, is 2 to 4 hours. Like that's the norm out there.
Excluding little tiny things that have a gas station and that's it.
Yes, and so Dad was the pro staffer for Primos in Montana, and that was at that time that was still like being a pro staffer was hard to do. Like to get chosen as a pro staffer, it was still really heavily vetted. It was a big deal for Primos. It was a super extensive application process, and so Dad was a pro staffer. So immediately that made Easton, I think that like that's the coolest shit ever, like Dad, our dad's a pro staffer, like I don't care what you say, he knows, And then, but then his other part of his job was that we would go around the state to all of these archery stores, mom and pop shops, Sportsman's Warehouse, and we would go and Dad would do a seminar. And we would hang out with basically these people for the night, and he would do a seminar on elk hunting. And East and I would get to run around the store and stuff for like an hour, and they always would treat us really good and take care of us. And so like that was fun. I remember that was a lot of fun. Bugs and Bullets was probably my favorite.
I was going to say that one was probably that one, and then for whatever reason, I don't know where the decline happened or where they kind of went away, and maybe I was just a kid, but Sportsman Warehouse ones. Oh, I loved them. And we would always go look at all the mounts and everything, too, that we thought were unreal, which there was a variety of mounts, which is cool. Like, see mountain goats and sheep and things like that. Mm-hmm. That was a lot of fun. And all the binoculars. It was like we could go through the case like it was some freaking diamond store.
Yeah.
Like, are those ones good ones or not?
I remember, too, it was like Bugs and Bullets was in Butte, Montana, and they would pack the house. Like, Dad had become like a little local celebrity there. And they must have done a really good job on their marketing. That's the thing. They would always do like radio.
They do radio and
stuff.
then paper ads all the time.
Yeah, and so I mean, this archery shop, it would be in the archery range, and it was always to the gills. Like the whole thing was just absolutely slammed.
Yeah.
So that was, I guess that if you want to consider, I don't know that I would consider that really like in the industry, but Dad was.
That was a start for us, though.
Yeah.
It was like in the beginning. The first industry stuff that we started getting special treatment for, though, would have been the shows.
Yeah.
Like trade shows.
Yes.
When Dad would have to go to trade shows for Primos, we'd obviously be there like a day or two early.
To help them set up.
And a lot of these shows, which I think they do them in some of them now, but a lot of the Western ones seem like, I think it's probably because there's more fishing people, but they would bring these big pools with trout and everything in there. And all those poor kids that had to come for the rest of the weekend because they would let us come fish before all the show even started. And we probably caught every one of them fish 3 times by the time the show started.
Yeah, the first day we would just sit there and slam them.
Oh, those days were so freaking fun, though.
Yeah.
So I guess, but that puts us into when we moved to Iowa is when we really started becoming a part of not just tagging along with Dad, being in it. And that's kind of when he started. That is when he started raised hunting especially, and that's when raised hunting was the family. It wasn't just Dad.
Yeah. Well, I think there was different levels to it because at first it was just Dad working with Primos, and he was a firefighter. You guys have heard that probably a dozen times, but he was a firefighter, and then he herniated 2 discs in his back, and he didn't have any interest of like, I'm going to leave the fire department, go start a show. They pretty much forced a medical retirement on him, and so he had to retire. And then so we moved to Whitefish, Montana, which is the northwest corner. And during that time, I think Dad was just looking for something to do, like trying to figure out what is my next step, what am I going to do next. And he had been filming every hunt that we've ever had for our entire lives. It was just, I don't think Dad ever had the intention of I'm going to go make a TV show with this or something.
We also
someday.
filmed everything outside of that too. Like it is unreal how much of our lives are on camera.
Yep.
Just for him to have originally.
Right.
And it ended up being something, but.
And so he just filmed everything. So he already had all this video and stuff. And so he decided he was going to try and make like a local TV show. And it was not good.
It was not good at all.
So
he will admit that too, though.
But you got to learn.
Yeah. And the other thing about that, though, is that the name of it totally got railed. Like, totally got taken the wrong way.
I don't know if even enough people ever even knew about it to really.
No, but everybody that did thought that we were saying that we were. It was called Above the Rest Outdoors, and the logo even was like an arrow, literally sits above the rest. And so we kind of thought it was or Dad thought it was a play on words, kind of. Not thinking
was referring
that
to the arrow above the rest.
Yeah.
Not we're above the rest of everybody else.
Everybody else just took, which I guess you could take it that way pretty easily, understandably so. But besides that, if they were to click or watch the show, it's not like they got much better anyways from the title.
Yeah. So then anyways, we moved to Iowa, and then I guess I can't really remember exactly how it was that
right when we moved to Iowa, Dad was like, we're gonna do this right. We're gonna do, number 1, we're gonna go to a national level. Number 2, we're gonna change the name. And number 3, I need an editor. I need somebody who knows what they're doing and what my vision is. I haven't found that yet, is what he felt as though was going on. And that was the first year. He interviewed a crap load of editors until he finally found Adam, who built. He literally just built a pilot, I think, or not even a pilot, like a trailer for him to see kind of what his vision was. And Dad was like, "Oh, that's it."
Do you remember that first day we filmed?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, that was after he's like, "Yeah, this is the dude that we need." And the first day filming was.
Well, I think it was to build the pilot, though.
That was to build the pilot show.
Yeah.
The other stuff was just a few-minute trailer, like if Dad gave him some stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, when we built the pilot and filmed it, that was awful. That was like January or February, one of the coldest days of the year.
It was
freaking.
Oh, it was like
and it was
10
sun
or
up
20.
to sundown, like just brutal, colder than crap. Like that was not fun at all. It turned out really good, but
yeah. So, starting at that point, did you have any idea what to expect, or like what really was going on, or what it was we were doing?
No. The only thing I will say is I'm not sure exactly how the timeline added up, because I remember the first experience I had when we moved here that I kind of felt like, oh crap, here we go, was Mom and Dad wanted me to find some friends because I had moved a little later than you guys with me and Dad. I had baseball still in Montana, and so I'd moved here a little later, and it was end of the summer, and so they wanted me going to the pool to because that word on the street is that's where the kids were my age, that I could go meet kids. And I thought that I was going to walk in and like nobody was going to have any idea who I was whatsoever. And that's why I'm saying the timeline doesn't, I'm confused on it, because the first thing I walked in on, like a group of guys in my grade, I still remember all of them, were like, "Oh, you must be Easton." And I'm like, okay, I wasn't expecting this. I said, "Yeah? How do you know that?" And they're like, "We heard about the kid with the TV show coming." And I was like, uh-oh, that's not good. Because that was the first comments that I ever got from anybody, was that somebody was coming to town with a TV show. And I think that was because of Small Town Winterset.
But it didn't even exist yet.
I know. That's 2012. That's what I'm saying, our timeline. And I don't know if that I wouldn't be surprised if that came from the previous show, the local channel. It probably didn't help that it went national the year after.
Yeah.
But that was 100% vivid first thing. Like,
I think it was just because it was small town. Because I remember having a similar experience. Not the TV show, though, but, like, when we moved to Whitefish, I remember, like, nobody
said a word.
Yeah, no, it was just like, oh, it's like, it was the typical, what you would expect, typical, you're the weird new kid for a while. And then where here it was completely different. Like, I remember the first day of school, it was like all these people, like, already knew me. I'm like, how do you guys know me? And it was because there's such a small town.
They don't get new kids very often.
They get word that there's a new kid coming, so everybody's just like waiting to see what the new kid's like, And then Iowa people are
super nice,
unbelievably nice. I remember to move to Iowa, I remember some people talking about like bullying and stuff in school. I'm like, you guys need to go live anywhere else. Because when you move to Iowa, the people here are so nice. They could not have made it more of a welcoming experience than what they did. Okay, so anyway, so I was with you. As far as when we went to shoot it, I had just no idea what to expect of that, or like what that was going to...
Where it was going to put us in our lives whatsoever. Yes. Yeah, or where it was going to take us by any means. I think, though, that very quickly we knew that, at least I was starting to connect. I was young, but I was starting to connect. This was a little bigger than what I expected it to be, because after the first year of us airing or whatever on TV, then the very next year we were going to SHOT Show or whatever in Vegas. Like, I'm 12 or 13 or whatever. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'm missing school to go to Vegas. My teachers are looking at me all weird. I'm like, yeah, but clearly I wasn't going for anything stupid, but the fact that we're going to a SHOT Show, and the reason we were going was because of the Golden Moose Awards, like to be a part of the chance to win an award or whatever. So that's when I think the light switched for me, that I was like, okay, maybe this is more than just we're shooting deer and stuff and shooting our bows and getting filmed.
Well, I remember too, there was once that started, that was a pilot episode that had to been submitted to the network, and then the network had to decide if they were going to air this or not, and they did, and that's when now we had to go make 13 episodes of this, and I think I'm just trying to think back and remember my experiences of that, and I feel
you wondering how many days of filming we had?
No, I'm just remembering, like, as a kid, I remember thinking, like, I think it was like halfway through that I was like, holy shit, this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Well, the very first year was outside of hunting days, outside of just any hunt that we were on, any deer hunt they were doing, turkey hunts, anything. Outside of all of that, 72 days alone. And those were not like 72 half days or like in the evening or whatever. Those were like 72 days from you get up early, you film till dark. Like, it was unreal how much time it was.
And then for East and I was a completely different experience, because it meant we weren't getting to do anything else. We went to school, we came home, we filmed, we went to bed, we went to school. We went to school on the weekend, we filmed all day.
Yeah. Saturday
and Sunday, go to school. And I remember it didn't take me very long before I was like, I don't like that very much.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of notorious in the family for
Warren hates
was
filming.
Never really much into the filming.
Yeah.
And so, especially like my shoes. I'm like, why the hell do you want to film my freaking shoes?
Yeah, which what Warren's referring to is the way we filmed. If anybody's seen some of especially the beginning years of raised hunting, it was filmed totally different. I mean, it was filmed very creatively, very detailed, very emotionally, and all of that put together. If you really think about it, I mean, it's changed our lives on how we think about a lot of things. But that everything takes 2-3 times as long to film, because you're filming it. Everything was a rule of 3. Was you got to film it a very close-up version, a not as close-up version, and then a wide angle. Everything. So everything was whatever you did once, do it 3 times, and that's why, I mean, it was just repetitive. But that also has on an outside effect on us with understanding how that was all built and everything. Totally ruined movies for a long time. I've gotten better at it now, but like ruined movies and shows and stuff because I'm like, oh my gosh, you don't think about it like just watching. You think about it like, I wonder how they got that shot, or man, that was really good music selection there, or some other BS. And They never let me turn my brain off anymore after that.
Yeah. So I think I'm just trying to think of trying to remember what it was like. And so I remember after the first year, I remember Dad and I had been working pretty hard on Facebook as far as just like posting stuff and just trying to build an audience. And I know we had over 100,000 followers before the show even launched. And I remember the first episode that aired, Dad and I were sitting there waiting to see, like, I don't know, I guess we felt like nobody's going to see it, you know? And so then we got messages and people saying they liked it. And it was like, holy crap, this is cool. And so I remember that being really cool. And then I remember
I don't think we can forget about the negative that we got really early.
Well, that's kind of where I was going. Is then I remember on, like, we'd post like follow-ups to, here was the episode, did you like it? And then fortunately for me, I'm really stubborn. Like,
no.
really stubborn. So it didn't really bother me that much, but I was surprised. And then I was angry when I saw how much it bothered Mom.
Yeah.
And we got two different levels of negativity. One from other hunters or people watching the shows where, I mean, some of the stuff was just like,
what are you doing?
Super, super nasty and absolutely no reason for it. Like, they would go out of their way to take the time to send us these messages and say how much they hated the show.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, well, good for you. I mean, there was just like similar to a troll on social media, except I would say
twice
exponentially worse because they went through so much more time and effort to do it.
Yeah, and a lot of times it was like emails. And I don't even know how they were getting the emails.
Yeah, I don't know either. Off the website, I'm sure. And then we had an anti-hunter period where we got into we posted a picture of a bear I'd killed, and it had all of us behind it, and they just went hog wild on that one. And that one really didn't bother me at all. I think because which they were giving us death threats and stuff, like saying they were going to kill Easton and I and all of this stuff.
One of the most detailed ones is they said that they sent it to Dad or Mom, one of the two, and said that they were gonna cut my Easton and Warren's heads off and put them in the mail for you guys to see how you like it.
I know,
I'm like,
it probably should have bothered me more, but I think me personally, I was just so stubborn too, and thinking like all I could picture of these people is like these have to be the biggest. I mean, you're gonna have to beep this. These have got to be the biggest on the face of the earth. Like, I'm really not that concerned about.
I think after we got enough of those, though, Dad did find that weirdly, we've told some people that, and they've been like, that didn't affect you guys. And it didn't really affect me, and it didn't affect you. And I think it was always because the more I thought about it, I was like, they're welcome to come here. I mean, if they really want to do something, they're just sending stuff. Like, I don't think they have the guts to actually show up and do anything. And I actually think that, I don't think Mom was a fan of it, but I think Dad did once or twice give him our address. It said, here, if you want us to actually say something or show up and do something, go for it and see what happens. And clearly nobody's going to do anything. They're not going to.
I doubt that he was stupid enough to give him our real address.
Probably not.
But he may have said something like I mean, it's just, it's the biggest fairies you could imagine. Like, I think that was the only reason that made me not concerned about it at all. So that was really interesting to see, because when I say, too, like a volume of it, I mean, we're talking about thousands of comments.
Yeah.
Not 10, not 100, like thousands. And so that was a really interesting thing to go through. And then I think the next biggest thing that was, for me, was like really, really different was when we did go to like a SHOT Show and ATA show, and all these people already knew who we were. and that was really weird to me. Just, I guess it somewhat should have been expected, but I didn't get it at the time. It was interesting to me. It was cool to some extent, but it was just a little odd. And then looking back now, I see a different side of what it was that all of those people were seeking. I think at that time I was still young enough that I believed that most of them was an innocence thing. And I think that most of the audience, the people that were watching race hunting, were innocent and genuinely inspired and genuinely appreciated the show. I think most of the companies were looking to partner with somebody they felt like had influence, which I can't blame them for that. As a kid, you thought it was just because they liked what you were doing, which they did to some extent, but it was more of a, what fiscal gain can we get from this?
Yeah. Oh, you're talking from the company standpoint?
Yes.
Yeah, the whole sponsor stuff is probably one of the biggest things that has separated us from, I think kind of almost kept us on the outskirts of the industry. I've always felt like we're on the outskirts of the industry. I know it probably doesn't look like it from the outside looking in, but I've always felt like we don't really fit, and we kind of get treated that way in the industry. And I think that's always been because from square one, the sponsor stuff, like we understood the concept of that you have to have a sponsor, like at the time. That was the only way we knew how you could afford to do what you were doing, because you had to pay to be on Outdoor Channel. You had to pay somebody to edit your stuff. You had to pay to go on the hunts. All of this was money going out, but there's no money coming in. And so the sponsors, okay, well, that makes sense. You have to have somebody paying you to do what you're doing. And we just did not do well. We were always open with it. Our dad was always open with it. Like, we're not going to be the people that are going to stand here and tell people that this, that, and the other is the only reason I killed this deer, because this, that, and the other, and I wouldn't be able to do it because of this and that and the other, and every 17 other companies listed down the line.
Or putting that into the shows.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of them wanted us to do, is like put it directdirectly into the show.
Yeah, and we were always more like, no, we'll happily support the product that you're giving us, and we're clearly going to show the product in the, because we're going to use it. And that to us is more subliminal and going to show more to a person that here's a trusted source, and here's what they're using, and they're not shoving it down my throat. So maybe they do have a reason to use it. And I do seriously think that worked for quite a few of the products that we were using and stuff. But that was also a big, people didn't like that. Viewers loved it, that we weren't shoving it down their throats. Sponsors hated it, and so did the rest of the industry, because it was, I don't know why the rest of the industry hated it. I kind of felt like they all should have jumped on board, because if they all had done the same thing, they wouldn't have to be shoving products down people's throats either.
I think it was because we were putting so much focus and effort into making the show good that then anything that we utilized, people had an interest in.
Yeah.
And I think for most of them, their shows were very similar to most of the other shows, and they didn't have the ability to do that, so it wasn't going to have the same impact, so they had to show it. So I don't know, maybe it was a jealousy thing or an envy thing. But I think that brings up a good point that I think was, to me, one of the hardest things to wrap my head around was everybody, except for maybe people in the outdoor space, but everybody else thought we were just loaded.
Oh my gosh.
Thought we were loaded. And we'll shoot you straight. As far as we weren't poor kids or anything. Like, we didn't have a bad upbringing by any means. Like,
no.
No way would I sit here and tell you, like, oh man, we didn't have any money or anything like that. But we also we were very middle class. Like, we weren't freaking just rich and super loaded, and money was no object. Like, and I think when people thought of race hunting and they see the show and everything, like, they thought we were millions.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
Millions. That's exactly what they thought. And I remember just thinking, like, where are you guys getting this number? Like,
well, a lot of people don't understand the business side of it. That is just not. It looks big on the outside. On the inside, when you start breaking stuff down, especially when like if you look at a lot of other TV shows that is not hunting, like just other TV shows that are popular and stuff like Discovery Channel or History Channel or TMZ, whatever they're on, all of those shows typically they're poached or they're brought to them. Like they want that show on their channel, or they're producing it, paying to get it produced because they want that show on their channel because it brings viewers.
Meaning Discovery Channel or whoever else says, they say, here's $1 million, go make the show.
Yeah.
And then whatever else you can keep in there, I guess, is your profit. I don't know exactly how they do that because we never got to do that. The way the Outdoor Space did it was, here's what's going to cost you to air your show. And then once you air your show, now it's up to you to figure out a way to be able to make money from it. So I do think that's where a lot of and maybe it just got passed around some, that you could buy airtime. So your show at the beginning of Outdoor Channel, I think you did have to have a good show. That was when they were vetting. Like,
yeah, they had to approve ours.
Yeah, you had to be approved, and you had to submit, and then you had to buy your airtime. And so then at that time,
wild. They have to approve it, and you still have to pay for it.
So dumb. And so at that time, though, they had enough people that wanted to do it that they were able to vet through and charge a premium.
Yeah.
And then it started to, digital started to take form and everything. But then this is where you get the guys who were mortgaging their houses.
Yeah.
Because it was their dream. Like, I mean, I get it, man, go for it. But at the same time, like, they were making really bad fiscal decisions, and it wasn't much longer when the digital age started to take over that then the Outdoor Channel wasn't able to get people to buy airtime. So now they were taking just anybody willing to buy the airtime. Yep. But, yeah, so I think that's probably, at the beginning, that's probably where a lot of people got this idea that you have to be rich to be on the Outdoor Channel, because it was only the rich guys. It was a lot of celebrities, a lot of, like, sports athletes and people who just had the disposable income to say, oh, sure, here's the airtime, we'll pay for that, no big deal. And I think that maybe that partly got us lumped in there. But, I mean, like, at that time, I would say almost all the deer that we killed were either on permission ground, or my parents at that time was only 50 acres.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was the craziest 50 acres we'd ever seen.
Oh, it was like, we were like, holy crap, And so here I think people thought we were, hunting thousands of acres. And
we got that comment all the time. Dude, that was the worst part about high school. When I got into high school, was now it was no longer as much of it wasn't as much of like the welcoming small town as much as it was now. Everybody's kind of getting into knowing who they are, or just learning who they are as a person. You're forming your cliques and your groups and everything. Every redneck and every like somewhat country dude they just hated me. Most of them. There was a few that were like super nice and everything, and always had been, but most of them just hated me, and they would always act as though they would make comments too that I'm super rich, or my family's super rich, must be nice to hunt all that land, must be nice to be able to freaking just walk out and shoot huge deer and all this stuff. And it was extremely annoying to go through school that way, because number one, I wasn't even that focused on the hunting stuff. I was more focused on, like, I loved being with my friends. I loved sports specifically and was very invested in my sports. But I kept getting judged and characterized by something that had nothing that was even accurate either. Because I was more like, maybe if you guys would do some of the work that we do, that you would find more land to hunt, or you would have bigger deer to hunt or something. But in all reality, we ain't killing that big a deer. I mean, for what some of you guys are showing me pictures of, like, I would see some of the stuff that they're killing. I'm like, we're what are you guys even mad about? Like, I think we shot, like, for our first 3 or 4 years, which depending on the state you're in. For us, it was still huge because we came from Montana, where there was, in our last spot was Fork and Horns. But we were shooting like 130, 140-inch deer. And meanwhile, everybody around us is shooting like 170s, 180s, 190s. That was when there's like 200s every single year. And I'm like, are we really that much of a threat to you guys right now? We needed that much hatred.
See, I don't think I got that much of that.
Well, you only had 2 years in high school.
Yeah.
And then I had 4 years of after the show had been out for 2 or 3 years and was growing rapidly.
Yeah. Well, we grew up quite a bit in the first year, too. But, yeah, I think I maybe got fortunate and didn't really experience that much because I got along with most of the shoot buds. Like most of the shoot buds and I got along. We'd talk about hunting and stuff.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say we were best friends by any means, but most of us got along.
I had I had like 3 of them that actually I really liked. I was very good friends with. Part of it was because Brendan was my best friend, and his brother was the head nut.
His brother helped me pass geometry,
which is wild.
Oh, he was really good at it.
Yeah.
Which was, what I remember from high school mostly was like, I hated school. Like hated school. Was super bored out of my mind with it. I absolutely hated it. And all I wanted to do was hunt or shoot my bow. And so I remember absolutely hating school. And then I do remember going from Whitefish where it was all hippies and liberals. And I had 2 friends in the entire school, which was the only other 2 kids that hunted. And then to Winterset where I was at a good-sized group of friends. Like, I had a core group of friends, and then outside of that, I had other friends, that I'd go and hang out with and stuff. And I think the thing I remember the most was being irritated when, my buddies and I would want to go do something, or they'd invite me to go do something with them, and I couldn't go because I had to film on Saturday.
Yeah.
That part I didn't like very much. So, and then I guess the other part for me that was really different and weird is on the hunting side, I never cared about the camera, which drove
Dad nuts.
Dad insane. I was always much more focused on the hunt than, meaning like and to this day, if a 200-inch deer stepped out, and at that time I would have done it if the camera guy wasn't on it, Warren was shooting.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys, that Warren's shooting the deer.
Yeah.
Dad would it could have been 2:30, he'd pass it if the camera guy couldn't get on it. Yeah. And to this day, I think, and he would do that. Me, I'm still shooting. And it drove Dad bonkers.
There's definitely 3 different thought processes on that, though. One is you are more focused on the hunt. The part of the hunt is more important to you, which is a good thing. And that the filming is just extra. Like that is to be showing what hunting is and everything. And a lot of people would argue that the filming should not be taking precedence over hunting because that's taken away from the hunt, which is a valid opinion. The other side of it would be Dad is thinking part of it is he wants to have the video to be able to look back on. But the other part of it is this is business. Like, yes, we are hunting and this is what we love to do and everything. But now we just have to add one extra step, and that is we got to make sure what we are doing we get on camera. He'll take that to the nth degree. I've always felt as though like there are times that I will pass something because I'm to the point now where I'm not that worried as much about the camera and the business portion of it, but I've really, really come to appreciate. I really like having all the footage and all the video and stuff and being able to see where that shot was and be able to look 10 years ago and see whatever the shot was, which I think we all do. And so for me, it's been, depending on the situation, I will probably shoot, but I definitely,
you're shooting.
I'm also of the thought of like, I will wait. I will, like the instance, like the buck I'm hunting this year, the only issue I have with that is, I don't know if I would if I were to get a shot at him. I don't know when, if ever, I would ever get another opportunity like that. And I know you say I'm shooting, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if I were to shoot if the camera guy wasn't on it. But at the same time, it's going to get in my head for a hot minute while it would all be going on, because I'm going to be like, this isn't just another deer. This is like what I've been working for. So it'd be even more on my head of like, well, how are you either shoot because that's what you've been working for, or now I'm not even going to get it on camera or be able to film it or see it or anything, the biggest part of my life of hunting so far or something like that. I don't know. I think it could go both ways. It'd be really hard not to shoot. I can tell you that much. But I'd feel really guilty.
I wouldn't. I think the part for me that was so hard was I didn't mind because I think probably both you and Dad would say, I'm one of the most reliable cameramen you could ever have. Like, when it comes to getting the shot, Warren's going to get the shot.
Yep.
It was everything else that they...
Oh, there was zero filming outside of the shot. And it was no extra. Most of the time, we had to make Warren stop carrying binoculars. Warren is actually the core reason why when we have a camera guy with us, they're not allowed to have binoculars, because unless the deer was coming in and we were going to shoot it, Warren didn't give a crap about the camera. He's like, oh yeah, that's the 10 from last year. He definitely put some inches on this year. Oh, look at that kicker over there. Didn't care at all about filming.
That's because I love hunting.
So I started making him keep his binoculars at home. I thought that was freaking hilarious.
And at the early stages, I didn't mind at all filming the hunts and stuff. It was okay, now I just shot a deer and I'm super stoked. And now it's getting ruined because we got to film this thing for this arrow and this thing for this camo company and this thing for this
that part I did not
company and this thing for this and this thing for this and this thing for that and this thing for this. And I was like, this completely ruins it for me.
Yeah.
So... that, I guess, I would say, as a whole, how would you say it was?
Growing up in it?
Yeah.
I'm 50-50 on it. I obviously went through a lot of ups and downs, but just hunting in general when I was younger. But as far as all the extra work and everything, too, to go with it, the work wasn't the issue. It's just the emotional toll it took on how I felt about things or how I wanted to do things. And I think at that time, I don't think it was the greatest, or I don't think it was great for me or who I was. I do think at where we are now, I'm grateful for it 100%, because it did give us the jump start to what we are doing now. And how the company that you guys see, or that if you guys are you listen to the podcast, the company you guys see now is totally different from the company it was 6, 7, 8 years ago. And part of that's just progression through business, time, and the change of business. But in looking at it now, I'd say it's good, because I learned a lot. I learned a lot about what I don't like and what I don't want to do. I learned a lot about what the benefits of it were. I did really, 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 really like the impact the shows had on people. And so that's something that I've kept, okay, once we can get past whatever, or the company's growing again, that maybe one day we'll get back to releasing some YouTube videos or something like that, where me and Dad can do a couple episodes together, because the stories that were told, truly people connected with and loved them. And we've had enough emails and stuff now that, there's people that are out there hunting that never had hunted again because they had some emotional thing happen or whatever, or they lost a family friend or family member or whatever, that now hunt again.
Yeah.
And to me, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So it goes both ways, but...
Well, I think if you look back at it, I think, in my opinion, the first 2 seasons were the best, as far as, not necessarily just from a personal standpoint, as far as for us. I'm saying it was the best as far as what the show was, what it meant, the quality of it, and everything that it did. Yep. I think that by season 3 or so, we had learned too much about the business side. Dad set out to tell great stories and do an incredible job of conveying that story to the viewers. And I think he did that super well. I don't think Dad was prepared for the business side of it. Mm-mm. And what it was going to take to be able to keep going.
Yeah.
Meaning, to keep doing a production like that, it takes money.
Yeah.
And a pretty good bit of it. And so the only way to be able to do that is do the business side. And I think it was at that point, like, if you could go back right now and we could make episodes that were just purely stated on what it was that Dad wants to convey to the viewers, I think that it would be just to the same quality as that or better, because you're not having to now do anything else. And that's what I think the first 2 seasons were. And after the first season, it was so powerful. I think that everybody, all of the companies that worked with us, were like, hey, you guys did such a good job. We're going to let you do however you want to, because it worked, right? You reached lots of people. People are loving this, and here, do whatever you want. I think it was by like season 3 where everything was changing on the TV side. All of this stuff was changing as far as lots more going to digital. And I think the companies also got into a place where they weren't sure what was going on. And so then all of a sudden they started putting a lot more pressure on us as far as, okay, well, if you're not going to put this stuff in your show, well, then you got to be doing it on social. And then you got to do this and you got to do that. And then I think that it took a long time, but it started to really dilute race hunting, what we truly stood for. And fortunately for us, though, I think
it also took so much time out of what we were doing that we couldn't put that much time into what we started out to do.
It made our social at the beginning was just strictly, the only goal was to engage with other hunters.
Yeah.
To provide either information or entertainment that that totally resonated with them. And then it got to where, okay, well, we would not give on the show side, so now every single social post that we had to do had to been sponsor related, or have them tagged in this, or have them tagged in that. And then that got to a point where, so now that we'd lost that side on the engagement for a long time, because people don't want to see an advertisement every friggin' post, and then trying to explain that to the sponsors was like impossible.
You're doing no good for them or yourselves at that point.
No, and so then, which we're now, I mean, I think that all kind of led to the revolution of what it is now, where now there's nobody that can tell us exactly what it is, how we're going to do things. We're able to run it how we want to. And as far as where everything's ended up, personally, I couldn't be any happier than I am with where race hunting's at today. And I feel as though we can do more. I think the reason that we're doing as well as we are and that we're enjoying as much as we are is because we're actually getting to focus on 100% on the race hunting family.
Yeah.
Like these podcasts, you guys have never heard a single sponsored plug or anything in here.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy doing these, and I think that's a big part of the reason that people enjoy them. And I think that's a lot of the reason, too, that people go and they support us and everything. So I think in the future you could see episodes of race hunting again, but I think it's going to be on a digital format, and they're going to be.
It'll be if it ain't going to be no 13 again.
No,
either it'll be like 3-4 in a year or something.
Yeah, but the level of quality at which we can make those should be
really good.
Kick ass.
Yep, faux show. Well,
you think we covered it well?
I think if they don't have a little bit better understanding of where me and you have come up from, I'd be surprised. So I'd say, yeah, I think we did.
Yeah,
because we're pretty current now, and
I do think I'd like to touch real quick on it. You know, Easton said that he feels like we've always been on like the outskirts, and I think that's 100% true because everything we've done from the beginning, what Dad did, people told him you can't do that; it's never going to work. And it was completely different than what everybody else was doing in the space. And each step we've had something to that level. When we talked about dropping most of our sponsors and that we're going to figure out a way to be able to sustain ourselves, people told us we were insane.
Yeah, that one was a big one.
And now
we got a lot of slack for that.
And now we could tell them
they're flack.
We're not insane. So those kinds of things, I think it's just completely. I think we have always been on the outside edge, which I'm not all that upset about.
No, I just felt like the only reason I even mentioned that is not that I necessarily want to be in, because that is one thing I didn't say about it. Is one of the things, like when we go to shows and stuff, people are always like, yeah, do you know this person or that person or whatever, and it's always something regarding hunting. I have not a clue hardly what is going on in the hunting industry, besides like when I'm paying attention to specific things that I need to pay attention to. Because when you're in it, it's like, the last thing I want to do is get on my phone and just see more of it. Like, I just don't care to do that. So I never knew names, but I never necessarily wanted to be a part of that. But I also always found it odd that I was like, what are we doing? Like, every time we talk to somebody at a show or in passing, or we know a lot of the other people that had shows or whatever, are always really nice. Like, I always felt like we had good conversation and stuff. And there has been few. Like, there's, like, I think 3 off the top of my head, 4 actually, that I can think of that we've met over time that I'm like, I don't care what industry they're in, they're freaking awesome. Like I really, 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 really like them, and I have a lot of respect for them. But the vast majority of the others have been like what is this about? Like why is this got to be like this weird boys club thing that
Well, I think that's one thing that I think it does make a big difference. If you really think back and think of, we never, and to this day I would stand by this, never set out wanting to get into the industry.
Yeah.
We never, ever did that. It was Dad wanted to share stories. It was now, that we want to be able to help people and provide great products that help their hunting experience. We've never I'd tell you that guy that just poached that deer in Kansas. He
just wants
to be in the industry.
Yeah.
He wants to be able to say, "Oh, I'm in the hunting industry."
Yeah.
And where I think too, there was a period there where there was a whole ton of people that wanted to be in it, and now I think your pendulum is completely swung where most people are like
steer clear,
anti of it. Yeah. Because I would tell you too, it is. I used to think that the hunting space was super dirty, and then I realized that it's not the hunting space. It's life and business in general. I don't care what space you go get into. There's great people that are absolutely phenomenal, and there's terrible people, and it's in anything. And I would tell you, and the same thing with the hunting space and the archery space, there's absolutely phenomenal, awesome people, and then there's also dogs.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But, yeah, well, I guess if you guys have any follow-up questions on that one.
Well, let's one prior question real quick.
Okay.
What, if you had to say the outside of the Primos days, best highlight or memory from the raised hunting youth days, our youth days in it?
Just off the top of my head, I can. This ain't gonna make us look any better, but probably the SHOT Show thing, like the Golden Moose Awards. Not for the. I didn't give a crap about the. Sorry, Dad. I know he'll be mad, but I didn't give a crap about the awards. I thought it was the coolest freaking thing ever. That in one room, Chipper Jones had came in and started giving me crap for something. And I'm like, no way, that's freaking Chipper Jones. And then in the next room, I'm talking to Jim Shockey. And then the next room, Eva Shockey's asking us questions. And then the next room, I'm talking to Craig Morgan. Like, it was freaking wild at that age that I got it. Like, just the people that I actually liked or had seen and stuff. I never thought that I'd be, like, walking in the same room with them or something. Or them even acknowledging me. And so that one was, like, it was more shocking because I wasn't expecting it than anything. So that one was a pretty solid one.
I thought you were going to take mine. I'd have two, but they were from the same night. So as a kid, up until the day of we started airing race hunting episodes, Warren consumed as much outdoor channel as probably anybody except for Jim Brennan. He was the only person that managed to outdo me on the outdoor channel. And I loved Thursday nights because Thursday nights was the only archery shows. They would only put on archery shows. And I would watch hunting shows constantly. And Easton hated it because he was still in his Disney Channel stage. And if I could get the TV, it was going to be hunting. And I'd watch hunting constantly. And Wacky was one of my favorites. And so when we were backstage getting ready to possibly receive one of these awards, Michael Waddell's all talking to me and stuff, and like takes my phone and gives me his number and stuff. It's like, if you ever need anything or anything, just holler. Man. And I'm like, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And then for him to be that cool in person, was really, really cool. But the second part of that was when Jim Shockey got up there.
He
took the award that. So we were nominated for like 5 or 6 awards. One of them was Best New Series. The one that we won was Best Cinematography. And Jim Shockey gets up there. This was the same time that Uncharted came out. He already had like 2 or 3 other shows. And so Uncharted won Best New Series. Jim Shockey gets up there and says that this isn't my award. And this was when the Outdoor Channel was still a big thing, a big deal. So there was thousands of people in that room.
Oh, the whatever the heck, the Venetian or whatever the heck it was, that arena thingy was filled. I mean, it was.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking, and every big person you think of was there. Willie Robertson, Chipper Jones, all of these huge personalities, even outside of the hunting space, like they were much larger outside of the space. And the very first thing that Jim Shockey does is get up there and say that we don't deserve this award. This should be going to raised hunting, and then talks about how much we earned it and deserved it and everything. I mean, I was like, this guy is unbelievably
a good dude,
respectful, and and just a down.
As much as I hated the show, like watching shows, weirdly, which I didn't ever know why, and I think it's probably because of after meeting him, that's probably why. But the only show that I would watch that I actually enjoyed when you had it on was Jim Shockey's Hunting Adventures or whatever they called it, and he was always guiding, is all he was doing. It was the only show that I would actually watch as a kid, and I really liked it. I didn't know why. And then all of a sudden, when we're there, and I was like, wait, this isn't just some like all these people walking around that I really don't know who half of them are. That's Jim Shockey. I know who that one is. And he came over and talked to us, and it was like the coolest thing because he was just like he was on TV, but nicer. And way more, even more genuine in person. And I just thought that was really cool. And his son, Brandlin, was the same exact way, and same with Eva. They, like that whole family, and his wife too at the time, the whole family was
incredibly nice, genuine,
very
down-to-earth
welcoming
people.
too. Yeah.
Yep. Couldn't say enough things about the Shockeys.
Yeah, they're awesome. All right, well, on to Wacky Facts.
Yep.
It should be interesting. Next week we will have the old man on. Not that we don't do any of the sponsor plugs and stuff on here, but we will plug ourselves, and that is Raise Sense, Raise Canine, Raise Knox. If you guys need anything, we got stuff on the website. If you guys have questions, you have been doing very good. Don't lose hope for everybody that has been sending in emails and has heard back from me. I answer them for podcast topics and everything. And then I keep lists, and we try to get through what is timely or what is a good one that we can maybe pair with another one. So make sure that you guys continue to send us the podcast requests. We may not use all of them, but you're pretty much always going to get an answer and an answer to your question as well, whether it's on the podcast or not. But send us emails at contact@raisedhunting.com. We'd be happy to cover your topic. And like I said, if you guys need sense or anything, raisedhunting.com. Get her going.
In the 17th century England, rich landowners planted grass lawns on their most visible land to show off their wealth, since only the very rich could waste good land-growing grass instead of food. A big lawn told everyone you weren't a farmer, you were rich.
You can't be a farmer and be rich. That's pretty interesting.
This one's pretty sweet too. We don't have to deal with this, but in some Chinese cities, if you're stuck in traffic but you need to get somewhere fast, you can call it jam busting service. 2 people on a motorbike arrive. One whisks you away while the other stays to drive your car out of the jam.
That's legit.
That's what I'm thinking.
That reminds me of like Dad when they lived in DC.
Yeah.
As kids, do you remember them telling the story? They'd wait on the hill where everybody gets stuck.
Yes.
During the winter, and then they would charge the people that got stuck on the hill, and they'd tow them up the hill with their trucks.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah.
I mean, that's business right there.
Uh-huh.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in to another Raised Hunting podcast. We will see you guys on the next one. Unfortunately, the old man will be back. Now, it'd probably be good. Give us 3 people again. But he will be back. I don't know what we're doing on the next topic. I think we've got our next series probably starting here relatively soon. So
probably.
But like I said, send us topics. Get some sense while you can. And if you guys have anything else, let us know. We appreciate you.